right, tonight we are going to look at Jobs for TN. There are a lot of things that we need to cover tonight as we go through this PowerPoint. I want to make sure that everyone understands their access within the system and the things you are have the privilege setting to do while you are in Jobs for TN. All right, so just a little housekeeping before we get started. If everyone would please mute your mic. If everyone would please mute your microphones. I'm getting a lot of feedback, so if you could please mute your microphones. All right, can you all hear me again? I hope so. All right, here we go. So let me go back to the housekeeping screen. So make sure you mute your microphones. If you have any questions, submit your questions in the chat box. And if you can reference a slide, that would really help me when I'm going through and answering questions at the end of the presentation. Take plenty of notes. I'm going to give a lot. I'm going to show you some things that I actually do in the state office that you can do at a local level just to check your data. At the end of the session, I am going to copy and paste a link in the chat box, and you are to complete this as a sign-in form, and it's going to generate a certificate for you saying that you've attended and you completed the session. Can anyone, I just got your message, Quinn. Is anyone else having trouble hearing me?
I see the message. I think I'm muted. I can't hear.
Okay.
Yeah, I can hear her, but I don't know if I'm muted or not.
You're not muted.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, now you are, Lee. All right, Quinn, you may want to check your volume. Others are saying. All right, Bridget, can you not hear me at all? All right, Regina, I see that you have your hand raised. If you could type your questions or responses in the chat box, that would help me out so I can see as we go through the PowerPoint. Okay, at the end of the session, I am going to copy a link for the certificate to say that you've attended the session. If you do not have access or cannot copy the link, if you would please shoot me an email, I will email that link to you, and you can fill it out and generate your form then. If you can't have access to the chat right now, I'll email that to you. If you would just send me your email address, and we will take care of that. Okay? So let's go ahead and get started. So the learning objectives for tonight, we are working to change the vernacular. We're so commonly calling Jobs for TN VOS, but we're going to work, and I'm going to give you an understanding of why we're really trying to work to change the vernacular of what we're calling our system, our MIS. We're going to do an overview of the detailed and the federal reports. I'm going to show you how to generate the reports, drilling down and using your filters. We're also going to we'll pull the participant status by EFL report. That is a detailed report. And we're also going to talk about federal report tables 1 through 4. We're also going to go through some data analysis using the hyperlinks in the reports, and I'm going to show you the match function that I use when I am trying to analyze data to see if things are going wrong with reports or if I can't find students in different federal reports. Then we're going to go into the practice site, the UAT Agile Site. It is a Jobs4TN site. And we are going to have a question and answer session at the end. All right, so changing the vernacular. The system formerly known as VOS. We were so accustomed in the beginning to calling it VOS, 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 but we want to call it what it actually is. We want to keep the branding consistent between all of the WIOA partners, and this is the vision of our leadership as well. We're stressing the importance of keeping the lingo consistent with the vision of the commissioner and the State Department of Labor and Workforce Development. So we're going to refer to the system as Jobs4TN. That is what it was purchased as, that is what it is marketed as, and that's what our customers are going to use. They know it as Jobs4TN, not VOS. So we're going to use that common vernacular throughout all of our language. So any corrections that need to be made in the system, or when you're speaking of the system with someone outside of our staff members, if you're talking to a participant or to a student, refer to the system as Jobs4TN. Okay, it's kind of like the Prince. He was the artist formerly known as. So formerly known as VOS, now we're going to call it Jobs4TN. Now, in the federal and the detailed reports, in our management system, participants are tracked two ways. They're tracked in detailed reports, which cover all participants regardless of how many hours they have in the system, and you have our federal reports. Participants only show up on the federal reports when they have attained at least 12 hours of documented attendance. At least 12 hours of documented attendance. Once they hit that magic number of 12, they will show on our federal reports. Now, our federal reports are used to submit an NRS report to the federal government every year. Those reports are due October 1st. I actually finished, well, we didn't finish. We're still working on getting those in. We had an extension, but it has to be done by the end of the day today. So as soon as I get off this PowerPoint, we're going to go into finishing those reports. But those numbers are generated from the federal reports. And those reports are billed by the data that is entered in Jobs4TN. Now, the detailed reports can be used for your fiscal purposes, tracking assessments that are given, managing class attendance or reviewing your class attendance, vouchers, and we have the ability to have different reports built out by the developers. So if there's some data that you would like to see tracked or something that your district uses as an analysis of your data within your local programs, let us know. It's possibly something that we can have the developers build out and pull in our data detail reports. So currently, like I said, detail reports include every person that is registered in the Adult Education Services or has a Title II application. We have 8 detail reports in the system at this time. Now, instructors, you have view-only rights. You can go in and look at any of this information in the system. You cannot edit or change any of the information, but you can view all of the information that is in the system. If you are a paraprofessional or support staff, an administrator, a lead instructor, you have the ability to enter data or change data. So if your immediate supervisor has not given you that permission, I just received a message. Hold on one second, guys. If you are still having difficulty with your sound, please let me know. Please send me a message in the chat box. Okay, I'm not receiving another message, so we're going to keep going. Currently, we have 8 detailed reports that are built out in the system. And we're working, like I said, with the developers to have more reports built. Is this better with the sound? I have everything turned all the way up. Are you still having difficulties hearing me? Is that better, everyone? Okay, great. We are currently working with the developers to have more reports built out in the system. We're trying to get through this reporting period to really work with them and get some other issues in the system worked out. But we are working with them to get reports built that will help you with your data analysis, that will track all students. And it will help you maybe during your PLCs or when you're working as a district to analyze your data. Instructors can print reports. Everyone has the ability to print the reports. Remember, instructors are view only. You can't edit or change any data. So I would encourage you to definitely go in and start pulling these reports. And I'm going to show you that you can even pull individual reports on yourself to see how you're affecting your students or what growth are you having in your students. Right? Today, we're going to look at the participant status by EFL. This is one of the most popular of the detailed reports at this time. It's used for the fiscal, and it's going to tell you the entrance level of all of your students that have CASAs tested at this time. We're going to have those same opportunities for the TABE, and I just want to make sure that you guys know how to pull these reports. So when we go to the Agile Site, I'll show you. This is just how the report will look if I pull the participant status by EFL. You're going to see the student's name, their state ID number. Put a little star right there, the state ID number, your application number, participation date is when the student registered. You have how many hours they attended classes, their last date of attendance, closures, exits. We know that works now. The system is exiting some student that shouldn't exit, but at least it's working. So this is what the report looks like. But of course, it's going to pull for every EFL level that we have. We have 6 levels for ABE students, adult basic education students, and we have 6 levels for our ESL students. Now, the circled portion, this is telling you what EFL level, educational functioning level. This is where a student comes in, takes that pre-test, and it gives you a level generated. So they can be beginning basic literacy, level 1. They can go through level 4. It's levels 1 through 6 for ABE and levels 1 through 6 for ESL. So wherever they come in at that CASAS test, or TABE that's coming in January, they're going to assign, the system will assign them an EFL level. If we generate this report and you pull your participant status by EFL, and you notice that it says EFL, but there's a colon and there's no level printed, that means that there has been an error. Either that information that you entered as their score range is out of range. There can be maybe the wrong test was put in, maybe not the CASAs or the tape, or someone could have accidentally chosen another test. Scores could have been entered incorrectly, but this is a great check and balance for you. If you have participants that are showing up in this report, you can go to their state ID numbers, where anytime it is blue, you can click it, and it'll take you to that student's application. If it's blue, you can click it. Just remember that. If it's blue, you can click it, and it's going to filter down to that student's application, and you'll know exactly what's going on. You can enter those applications and see what data is missing or if a score was entered wrong. So that's a great way to check and balance yourself to make sure the data is being entered correctly. All right, that's all on the detail reports. Here we're going into the federal reports. And remember, in the federal reports, participants must have a minimum of 12 hours of attendance recorded in the system. It's not going to work if they've just signed the sign-in sheets and you know they've signed, they have 12 hours. It doesn't count until it's put into Jobs4TN. So once that attendance reaches 12 hours, your participants are going to show on our federal reports. Now, in theory, the number of total participants should be the same on all of the reports except for table 4B, 4C, because not everyone has a post-test and not everyone is a participant in distance education. But tables 1 through 4 especially, and table 6, those numbers should be the same. So this is a way that I go in to check to make sure that our things are reporting correctly, or if there's an issue with the system. You can also go in. If those numbers do not equal, please send me an email as soon as possible. You may hear my dog barking. He's a little angry. He wants to play with mommy, but he can't. Now, the federal reports can be filtered by an individual teacher. You can pull it by the state, you can pull the report by the district, and you can go all the way down to an individual teacher. So Ian has challenged us as a state. We want to reach for the 2018-2019 year measurable skills gain target of 40%. So that is for the entire state, 40%. Now, I'm a little competitive. If you give me a goal, I'm going to try to exceed that goal. I'm going to do everything I can to beat it. It's just like me putting in an address in my GPS. When it says an estimated time of arrival, I take that as a time to beat. Don't judge me. But you can, as a individual, I would go in, as a teacher, I would go in to see how am I impacting this 40% state goal? What am I doing to impact my students to make sure they have pre-test in the system? Making sure after they receive their required number of hours of instruction, are they being post-tested? Are those individuals, once they're going in with an OPT, are they passing the HiSET exam? So you can pull this table 4 especially, and we're going to show you that. Table 4 report. This is a great tool for evaluations on effectiveness. You can see how many of your students are achieving level gains. You can see how many of your students are earning HSEs. And you can see what is your individual MSG target or your MSG goal that you have. This is Table 1. Table 1 are participants that enter EFL, and it gives you their EFL level, their ethnicity, and their gender. So this is all the information. This is actually live data that I pulled today. So at the time, we have 5,780 students that have 12 hours or more. And you can see how many students we have at each functioning level by race. If they have more than one race, it breaks all of that down for us in Table 1. This is Table 4. And I know that I'm pulling these out of order, but I'm doing this for a reason. So if you notice Table 4, it looks very similar. Column A looks very similar to what you see in Column A in Table 1. So this is the reason I pulled these two reports together, because I want to make sure that those numbers are the same. If that number is not the same, I know that there's an error with the code with the developers, and we need to get that fixed. Or some information may not have been entered on a participant, and we can send that information to your local paraprofessionals or support staff and get that data fixed as soon as possible. But table 4 is where we have to identify, or what we have to report to the federal government for our MSG. And if you look in column K, the last grand total, so right now as a state, we're sitting at 17.52% of that 40% we want to hit. So we have a lot of work to do. We're only just a little bit out of the first quarter, so we still have a lot of work to do, but you guys are more than capable of doing that. We give you guys a goal, and you work really hard to exceed that goal. So I'm excited about seeing you guys as we move toward that target of 40%. Now, both of these tables have the same information in column A. The entering EFL is determined by the participant's pre-test for the first entry of a program year. So we may have some individuals that come in, create an application, they don't show back up for 3 months, and then they open a new application. That EFL is already determined by that first application within the program year. Now, your support staff or paraprofessionals, whatever you call them in your district, this is why our data entry is critical, and it must be submitted on time. If that data is not entered in a timely manner, it's possible that applications can close out or exit out. I can remove a closure, but I cannot remove an exit. So we need to make sure that that information is being entered within that 10-day window that we have as a state established. Now, the columns P for table 1 should match column B for table 4, and I'll show you a picture of that on the next slide. Those numbers don't match. You have the ability to find who is not showing up on the table, and I'm going to show you how to run that match function in a little bit later in the presentation. All right, this is a little bit fuzzy, but this is table 4 on the left-hand side, columns A and B, and this is table 1 on the right-hand side, column P. So we need to make sure that all of those numbers by row is the exact same. If those numbers are off, that means we have an issue. And if you can't figure it out after I show you how to run that match function, please email me at ae.data@tn.gov so we can work to get that fixed. Maybe it's something I need to submit to the developers, but the more you're in the data, the quicker we can catch errors. The more you are in the data, the quicker we can catch an error. All right, this is Federal Report Table 2. This is a breakdown by race, by age, ethnicity, and gender. Age, ethnicity, and gender. This is table 2. And notice that the total in column P is the same that you've already seen. This was for last program year. But for last program year, this is the exact same number that's going to show up through all the tables. And it has, because I've seen that number a whole lot today. This is Federal Report Table 3. This is program type and age, and it gives us the information of IETs on this as well. The totals are not in this column or on this table, but the developers are working to get those numbers added in on the table. Okay, it's still broken down by age, and this is why I usually pull table 2 and table 3 together, so I can make sure that those numbers are the same. All right, we're going to go into the Agile Site, so we're going to leave the presentation. We'll come back. But I want to go into this Agile Site, and I want to show you what I look at and how I run my match data. Okay? So I'm logging in. It looks very similar to Jobs4TN, but this is not live data. This is where, if there are any corrections that I need to make or anything I need to test, this is where it happens. All right. Is everyone good? Does anyone have any questions? Okay, we're going to keep moving right along. Let's see. Okay, no questions at this time. All right, so this is the Agile site. I wanted to show you how to generate the report. So on the left-hand navigation, once you log into Jobs4TN, left-hand navigation, the first thing you're going to see is for unemployment staff. That's not us. My workforce staff, that's something new. I don't even know what that is. Services for workforce staff is what your paraprofessionals or support staff use to enter, create an application or to find an individual. But what I want to show you is how to get to the report. So if you go to the left-hand navigation, scroll down to where you see reports and expand it. Click the plus sign that's going to expand it. First, we're going to pull the detail reports. I love the detail reports because filters are your friends. Remember that. Filters are your friends. So click detail reports, and you want to click adult education. That's going to take us to our module. And as you can see here, here are our 8 detail reports. Okay? These are our 8 detail reports. But tonight we're going to pull the participant status by EFL. All right. If I do not set any filters, it's going to pull the information for the entire state. If I do not set any filters, it's going to pull data for the entire state. Here in the detail reports, we're able to, you can pull by grantee. We would definitely say pull by grantee instead of by district. It's going to make more sense here if you pull by grantee. Let's just say I'm going to pull for Putnam County Schools, Miss Linda and her crew. You can filter this report by county. You can filter this report by learning center once you select the county. Now, you know how we have to select a service code. The first one is always AE1, and it's set. It's AE1 for every student that comes in. But if I wanted to pull for another code, I can. If you go here in the middle section to activity service code and scroll all the way down till you get past the 800s, and you're going to start seeing this stuff, the AO2, AO3, AO4, AE1. That's everything pertaining to adult education. But if I do not select a filter for that, it's going to pull for every student in the state. Now, the filter by date, I want to explain that. Participation date means individuals that registered during that time. Participation date means individuals that have registered during that time. Active date, closure date means their applications closed during the time. Exit date means they exited during that time period, whatever you choose in your date range. Active means that's everyone, whether they registered, they exited, or they closed, or they're still active. So I am going to pull data for the last quarter. 07, 01, 18 to 09, 30 of 18. And I'm going to click Run Report. And we all know Jobs4TN can be a little slow. The Agile Site can be even slower because oftentimes they're pushing code. All right. And that often happens. You may get an error report. So if I click the update, scroll down, saved everything, run the report again, I'm pretty sure that I will get some numbers. And Regina, you have a really nice ceiling fan. It's really pretty. All right, so these are the participants for Putnam County Schools, and this is on the practice site. All right, if you notice at the very top, anytime it says 1 of 2 and you have these arrows, that means you're not done. So you scroll down here and you say, hey, I have more than 38 students. If you click the arrow, it's going to take you to the next page, and it keeps going and going and going. Okay? You can also take these reports. If you click the floppy disk, this is where you can export these to be able to print them. You can put this in a Word document, a PDF document, or an Excel document. I oftentimes use Excel, and I'll show you why in a few minutes. Okay, I saw some chat questions come in. What's the difference between the Agile Site and Jobs4TN? The Agile Site is a practice site. This is where you guys don't have access to it, but I do. This is where I have to run tests, and this is where if they push out a new code before it goes into production, this is where I have to test it before they push it into the production. How can the last date, attendant, and closure date be the same? If it has been, okay, I don't know why my phone is still ringing. Okay. Believe it or not, my phone never rings, and that was really weird. If that was the last date, the closure date was the last date an individual attended, they can be the same. It all depends on how it's pushed through the system. With the soft exit and closure process running manually now, oftentimes it's going to look at that max date of attendance, and that's where they're going to set the closure date. But the exit is going to be 91 days after that closure date, or that last date of attendance. Okay? So this is what the participant status by EFL looks. It gives you the EFL level, level 1, and how many individuals are there. And remember when I told you if it's blue, you can click it. So if I click this state ID number, it's going to take me to that student's application. And we know that we get there by the programs button. Scroll all the way down to the Title II application. There it is. Okay? All right. To get back to the report, click the back arrow on the browser. Okay. And if I wanted to get back to, well, this is not the filter down report. This is the EFL report. But this is what the EFL report looks like. If I wanted to choose a different report, go to Return to Manage Reports. Now we're going to go into the federal reports. Click Federal Report, Adult Education. Here goes our tables. Tables 1 through, we have 10. There are going to be some new ones that are built out for the new program year that you're going to see in the live site coming pretty soon. I've been in these reports all day. So they're my friends, and I am glad they're here. So let's look at Table 4. Click Table 4, and I'll pull data for the entire state for last program year. So remember, if I do not select any filters, it's going to pull for the entire state. And do not select anything that deals with the region or the LWDB. Okay? Do not pull for the or filter through for the region or the LWDB. If you want to filter, use the grantee button. Okay? Use the grantee. Do not use the region or LWDB. Use the grantee button. Okay? And again, this is where you can filter down to an individual instructor if you wanted to pull their information to see how they're affecting or impacting their target. So let's pull the state's data for this year. And it gives you the range. On the federal report, you cannot select a date range at this time. We're working with the developers to hopefully get that built out for us. But at this time, you cannot do a date range. It pulls for the entire program year. So if I click Run Report, this is where we're sitting for the program year. Okay? Again, remember, this is the practice site. This is not our live data. So we noticed that there's some blue numbers that are in there. And remember what I said. If it's blue, you can click it. So if I wanted to know the 14 individuals that had an MSG, a measurable skills gain, or EFL gain, I could click here, and it's going to tell me those 14 individuals. Okay? It gives me their name, their state ID, all of their information. And if I can scroll over, it gives me that they had the beginning and their level gain. Okay? So this individual went from a level 1 to a level 2. This individual went from a level 1 to a level 4. Okay? Now, since I filtered down out of that big report, okay, if I wanted to go back at this time, do not press the back arrow in the browser. Press the little blue back arrow. I could not say that 5 times fast. If you wanted to go back to the table, the Federal Report Table 4, click the little blue back arrow. And it takes us back to the Federal Report. Now, I wanted to show you how I run my match data. And then once we do that, I'll go back to the presentation. So I hope you're taking notes, because this is something I would love for you guys to use. And it really makes your life a whole lot easier when you're running Excel reports. So let's just say I pull this 1,359 students, okay? I click 1,359. It's going to give me those 1,359 names. I don't want to scroll through all of that. So what I'm going to do is export this to an Excel. Click the floppy disk, go to Excel, okay? Click here, and it's going to open this in an Excel spreadsheet for you. Okay? It's going to open this in an Excel spreadsheet. What I would do, I copy and paste the state ID numbers. Maybe I wanted to see, are these same individuals in another table? Or if these individuals are not showing up in another table. I see an error that we're going to have to fix. But I can copy the state ID numbers, and then I can run a match. And I'm going to show you now how I run my match data. So earlier today, I blocked out the names. I pulled data from table 1, and I pulled data from table 4 with the names and the state IDs, okay? So I want to know, out of this list of 207 individuals, where or if these state IDs from table 1 are going to show up in table 4. Some people like to run a VLOOKUP, but my favorite is to run a match formula. And I want to show you how to do that now. So if you have paper, go ahead and write down these steps, because I want you guys to be able to do this. It'll make your lives a whole lot easier when you're comparing data or you're looking for numbers in a long list of numbers, okay? So outside or right beside the state IDs, click that empty cell, go to formulas, and where it says look up and reference, click here and select match. Okay, let me do that one more time. For my first row of state IDs, I click the empty cell, go up to formulas, look up and reference, and select match. Okay? Now, in the first where it says lookup underscore value, you can select the first state ID in that column. Okay? The second, that's all you're doing with the first column. Then it says lookup array. If you want to select a range of numbers, select the first one, hold it down, scroll, scroll, scroll. Okay? Once you get to the bottom, there's your select range of numbers you're looking at. Now your match type, you want it to be 0. You want it to be exact. Okay? So select the first number in the column for the lookup value. And the second column, you're going to select that as the range, and your match type is always 0. Then click OK. So this is telling me that this state ID, the 9844447, is the 15th number in this column. And if I look down to number 15, there it is. But I don't want to have to do this for each individual column. So what you can do now to set your cells, go into your match formula at the top bar. In your second set of ranges, press Shift $, skip over, you're going to leave the C, and then press Shift $, again. In front of the next C, you're going to push Shift $, and after the C, you're going to press Shift $. I always click to the end and I hit Enter. Okay? So remember that not the first cell, that B3, not that one, but after the comma, you're going to put a $sign between the C's and then a dollar signs between the other C's. Then this little bitty black box is right here. If you double click it, it's going all the way to the end of your list. Okay? So this NA tells me that these set of numbers right here in the second column are not found in that first column, or that first column is not found in the second column. The first column, this is not found here. Okay? But it does tell me that 98447 is the 15th number in this column, the second one. The 1007845 is the 13th number in the second column. Okay? It tells you its exact position. All right? Are there any questions on that lookup? And I will show this again tomorrow during the presentation tomorrow, how to run the VLOOKUP. So you could filter this column to say, hey, I want to know who's not sure or what numbers are missing. There I can pull this list and say, okay, what are they missing out of their applications that they're not showing up in the column? Okay? So we're going to go back to the presentation. All right, so just to review, it says we're going to use the common vernacular. Remember, it's no longer VOS. It's the system formerly known as VOS. It's Jobs4TN. Make sure that you're checking your participant status by EFL reports. If you're pulling that participant status by EFL, you can see that. Bailey also has sent that to your data specialists in your districts. There's a list that they pull every month. You can check those as well. Remember, you can run comparisons between tables 1 and 4 of your federal reports to make sure that they're correct. You can also run comparisons of tables 2 and 3. They can be used to make sure the federal reports are correct. We're working with the developers to make sure that we can create more detailed reports for your data analysis. So if there's something else that you would like to see or have a report that you can pull so you don't have to scroll through a lot of things, let me know. You can continue to check the AE staff portal for updates on any policies or guidelines. I hope all of you guys have had an opportunity to look at the state staff portal. Adam worked really hard on that, and I'm really, it's an awesome tool to have. So if you have any questions about policies or procedures, or if you want to see any of the manuals, any of curriculum things, I'm pretty sure he'll talk about those on next week, but I did want to give him a shout out for that because he worked really hard and it looks awesome. So you guys make sure that you're checking the AE staff portal. And I am going to open up the floor for questions. Any questions? Hey, Dara. How you doing? It's okay. Don't be scared. All right, the question is, if you don't have a login for Jobs4TN as an instructor, how do you get one? Email your district coordinator. They can submit a form stack request to get you an account from in Jobs4TN, and I will email you when that is approved with your username and password. So contact your district coordinator if you want access to Jobs4TN, and everybody should want, because as an instructor, like I said, I want to know if they've given me a goal. I want to know, how am I impacting that goal? What am I doing in my classroom that's making that number go up? Okay, so 40%, I told you, just like my GPS, if it gives me an ETA, that's my time to beat. So we've given you 40%. Hopefully that's your percentage to beat in your individual classrooms. Any more questions? I love questions. We have plenty of time. If you're not on the chat, you can also unmute your mic and ask a question. Anyone else have any questions? For those of you that have called in and do not have the chat, you can unmute your mics and ask any questions at this time. I'm going to post that link in the chat in 1 second for the certificate of completion. Yes, I can show you an example of pulling an instructor's info. Are you talking, Susan? Susan, are you referring to table 4? The total number of days from registration to exit, it depends on the student. As long as you're entering attendance on that student, their application is going to stay open. But if there is a lapse, if there's 45 days of no attendance, the application will go inactive, and then the activity may or may not close. But at 91 days, the application is going to exit. All right, Susan, do you mind if I pull your data? I don't want to show the whole state if you don't want me to. Okay. Thank you for being brave, Susan. I appreciate you. Let's go. I love when people ask me questions. All right. All right. This is, let's go. It's 91, Alan, that it's 91 days from the max attendance. So from their last date of attendance is 91 days out when the application will exit. Does that make sense? Awesome. Susan, what's your grantee? Where are you located, Susan? Okay. So we're going TCAT Knox, Jefferson County, and I'm going to type your name. Maybe. All right, there you go. All right, so once that name comes up, and I typed by her last name. Did you guys see that? I'm not even going to pull the library because you came up right there for the Learning Center. So I'll pull your data from last year, okay? Is that fine? I want to. All right, you get an applause from me for being so brave. If I had a gold star, I'd give it to you. I promise I would. That's the teacher in me. Now, this is on the Agile site. Remember, this is not on the live site. So some of the numbers may be a little bit off. And that's okay. We're doing this for example purposes. So pull your grantee, pull your district, and type in your name. I'm clicking update criteria because Jobs4TN can be a little bit temperamental, but it's okay. We still love it. There it is. All right, look, go ahead, girl. 36.11%. Yes, ma'am. So column K, that's what you want to look at. So you had no level 1 students. All right. So you hit a total of 36 students. And of your 36 students, 2 had EFL gains. That means they have a pre-test and a post-test. You had 11 that earned diplomas. Got another standing ovation from me. You had 9 that left before achieving a skills gain, and you had 14 that stayed in the program. Okay? So your target, you were really close. Look. Well, actually, for the program year last year, I think it was 37%, so you were even closer. My dog's giving you a bark of congratulations also. Great job. But you have 36.11%. So does that make sense for everyone how to pull your own personal data in Jobs4TN? And this is your Table 4 report. So separate emails. So everyone will get credit. If it's a group of you guys watching together, I'm going to send this out. You guys use it separately so you can get your own certificate, okay? All right. So hopefully all you guys, if you do not have access for the system, Flood your district coordinator's email and say, hey, I want access. I want to look at my numbers. I want to look at my data. I want to see what I can do to improve or how I'm meeting that target. And they will submit that form stack request, and you will receive an email from me letting you know your username and your password. Okay, I have a couple more slides. All right, any more questions? I like questions. That's the teacher in me coming out. Ask me questions, ask me questions. And anyone that speaks puppy, Lucas is saying ask him questions also. Okay. If there are no more questions, well, let me copy this link. Let's see if you guys can see it. It won't let me copy it. Don't tell me what I can't do. Copy. Here is the link for your certificates of completion. You guys rock. I just sent it to Dana privately. I'm sorry. Well, Dana, you have it if no one else has it. There you go, everyone. All right. Make sure that your email address is correct, and this is how you're going to get your certificate and credit for attending. If you're unable to access the link, all you guys that are calling in, email me at Latoya, Latoya, Latoya.newson, like new baby boy, NEWSON, at tn.gov. All right. I worked hard to put this pretty picture of myself on here, one of the cute ones. So if you need to contact me for anything, again, my name is Latoya Newson. My email address is my name, Latoya.Newson, like new baby boy, at tn.gov. And the phone number is 615-741-7055. I'm pretty quick about answering emails, phone calls. I will definitely return them if I cannot answer them on the first or second ring. But you can definitely email me if you have any questions about tonight's PowerPoint or webinar. There's also 2 more sessions. If you would like to view this again, or you may have additional questions at the end of this, you can view those as well. Once the regionals are over, I am going to have possibly get Adam to also upload this onto the staff portal so you can have access to this webinar at any time. I thank you guys so much. We still have a few more minutes. So does anyone have any questions? All right. If not, I thank you guys so much for giving up of your time in the evenings to just come in and learn more of how to be effective in Jobs4TN, to learn how to use the system and how to navigate to better understand how you're impacting that data and that state goal, and how you can help me help the developers to make sure that our numbers are correct. So you guys are awesome. You are on the front line making sure that AE looks good. Thank you, Susan. Oh, that's funny. I love it. But you guys are amazing. I hope you have a great evening and go make AE the best it can be across Tennessee. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much.
Well,
have a great
Latoya?
evening. Yes.
I didn't realize that was you.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. I kept thinking, hey, you sound like Latoya.
It's me.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm fine.
Awesome. Awesome. But thank you guys so much. You guys have a great evening. Go enjoy some dinner. Hug your babies. Hug your fur babies. Watch some TV. Get you some rest. Good night.
All right. Well, thank you.
You're welcome. Good night.
Good night.